we pay our teachers what they deserve to be paid. Any educators here in the room? I spent a day, a work day at Carroll City Senior High, and I had a young man share with me that he has been at a D or an F school his whole life, and how he felt that that had labeled him somehow, that he wasn't going to be able to do everything he wants to do in his life. So we're going to end the grading of schools, because it's not grading, it's degrading. We're going to end the high-stakes standardized testing culture that has taken over our schools. We're going to put education back in the hands of educators. We're going to care about our environment again. What this administration under Rick Scott has done to our environment is appalling. It's appalling. Look what are we seeing on the east and the west coast, this blue-green algae that is a symptom of 20 years of Republican rule not caring about our environment. We're going to provide health care to Floridians. We're going to take Medicaid expansion. We're going to do what I call a public option, which allows any Floridian to buy into the same type of health insurance that our legislators are able to get. It's going to drive down the cost and provide better coverage. We're going to make sure we support the Affordable Care Act. We're going to have to stand in the shoes of the federal government because they're not doing what needs to be done to let people know what Obamacare provides. We're going to enter into a reinsurance market so the most expensive plans can be affordable for Floridians. And we're going to start taking care of our seniors again. Community care for the elderly. Health care for the elderly. Those are programs that have just been ignored in the last 20 years. So you know what this race is about? And I can talk about so much, about solar energy, the need to address climate change, the need to make sure that we're taking care of our infrastructure. One of the things that I will do as a former member of Congress is go to Washington, D.C. with my Team Florida shirt on and say, give us what we need in Florida, what we're entitled to have in Florida. So I just got time called, but let me just say this. This election is about the future that we all want for the state that we love and the people that we love. And there are 4 other very good candidates. I will promise you this, on August 29th, we are all going to come together. Because it's going to determine whether Florida has a bright future or not. And Democrats are going to stand together to make sure that on November 6th, we're electing the future governor that will make a difference in your lives in the state of Florida's future. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Gwen. Jeff, you've been here, so you see the timekeeper, but I'll remind everybody else as we go forward. But at this time, I'm very pleased to introduce to you Jeff Green, who is also running for governor. He's an entrepreneur personified. Jeff Green.
Thank you, Congressman Hastings. Thanks, Barbara. What a great event this is. This is the beginning, I hope, of an amazing run for us this November. You know, when I listen to Gwen, there's not much I can disagree with, and it's interesting being in the candidate forums. It's really great that when we have these conversations about education, the environment, gun control, you know, we're all in this, we all are pretty much in agreement on most of those issues. So the question you have to ask, obviously, is who do you want to elect? Who do you want to nominate to be your candidate for governor this November? Who can beat Ron DeSantis or Andrew Putnam? You know, many of you I've met before, so I'll tell you a little something about me. I was born in Massachusetts. I grew up very middle class, very comfortable life. My dad lost everything when I was a teenager. We went to the lower middle class, and I had to get through college by working as a busboy and a waiter and 3 jobs. I taught Hebrew school 3 days a week at Baltimore, and I was at Johns Hopkins, and worked very, very hard. Went to Harvard Business School. I've had a great career, and you know, I've decided I want to give something back and make a big difference for Florida. The state of Florida today is in a state of emergency. It really is. Schools were 40th in the country according to U.S. News and World Report. Our health care, according to the Commonwealth study, is 47th in the country. We don't have to talk about the environment. We just have to watch the news every night with the red tides and toxic blue-green algae in Lake Okeechobee. And the guns, it's all too close to hear what happened in Parkland and the senseless deaths that we have to suffer because the NRA has really taken over our government. And you know, the good news is we can solve these problems. You know, I'm the only candidate here actually started a school because we didn't like the private or the public schools of West Palm Beach. So we started a non-profit school. My wife and I funded 100% of it ourselves. And 70% of the kids get financial aid. We don't take a dime from the government or even a dime from donors. But we've really created a laboratory school. We've realized that kids have to learn coding and computer science starting in kindergarten to be ready for the next economy. And so as an educator, an accidental educator, I understand what we have to do. And I have a plan. State of New Jersey went from 36 to 2. And we can go from 40 to top in the country. But what we have to do, and the day I get to Tallahassee, we will fight for 2 years of pre-K for every child, 3 and 4-year-olds. Has to happen. We will make sure that no matter where you live in your zip code should not determine what kind of education you get. So we're even up what's spent all over the state. And teachers, of course teachers need bigger salaries, but they also need to be treated like professionals, like we do at the Green School, where they have a chance to collaborate with one another and get advances in their own training so they can learn how to teach kids who will be entering the workforce in the 2030s and 2040s. So I know what to do for education, I'll get it done. I want you to know that it's a very close race. We got some new polling, we're all on top of each other, but I can tell you this, I will fight harder than anyone to get this for us in November. I'm prepared to spend whatever it takes. You know, we've had great ideas and we've had great candidates, as you know, for 20 years. But, you know, we're a party of 5 and 10 and 20 and $100 donations, and they're a party of, you know, big corporate checks, $1 million checks, and now Donald Trump, contributing to make sure they have an unlimited amount of money. I got in this race because, you know what? I'll just finish by saying this. We will clean up Yeko Okeechobee. It's going to be hard, but we'll get it done. We will get it done. But let me ask you this. Right now, kids graduating Florida high schools, okay, in the 12th grade, only 19% are doing 12th grade math. Only 36% of the 12th grade reading level. I'd like these Republicans to tell me how are we going to clean up their lives? How are we going to clean up their lives that we've destroyed by failing to fund a good public education program in this state? So I will fight. This is why I'm running. I want to be able to look back on my life and think, I spent my own money. I went up dollar for dollar against these Republicans. I won the race for us and for the Senate, down ticket races. And you know what? I want to look back in 20 years and say, I have made a huge difference in millions of children's lives in the state of Florida. So again, I really ask each and every one of you to consider me. I'll be humbled if you'll give me your vote. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have with us the mayor of Miami Beach, just passed, that's also running for governor. And I want to say this about all of them. The commitment that I hear from them is that we will stay together. And that's what this program is about, that we are stronger together. Please welcome Senator for Governor Levine.
Okay, I'm home. It's Broward County. This is where I grew up. It's where I went to public school. I went to Addicks Middle School, went to Hollywood Hills, became a Spartan. I'm not going to sit here and talk to all of you. I know this is the Academy Award of elected leaders in Broward County, which is fantastic. But let me just say this. Number one, we have great candidates running for governor. If any of us win, our state's going to be a way better state than it is today. That is for sure. And what's most important is whoever the nominee is for governor, the Democratic ticket, that we work together to make sure we turn the state blue. Because as Gwen said, and I'm going to say it to all of you, this is not just the most important election in our state, it's not just the most important election in our country. This is the most important election in the world, because so goes Florida this year, so goes the presidency in 2020. So every one of us are so sick of screaming our TV sets, right? Because we can't stand living this national nightmare. But the only way we're going to correct it is if we continue to be active, be aggressive, and get out there and make sure everyone votes right now. Because this is the only way we're going to do it. Listen, I spent a year and a half of my life being the #1 surrogate for Hillary Clinton on television. I was on every TV station you can imagine. A lot of you saw me. Matter of fact, I think I was the only Democrat that would go on Fox. Matter of fact, I put my Kevlar vest on, I took those bullets, okay? Because let me tell you why. You know those people that watch Fox? Right? You know, we need some of them to vote for us if we actually want to win a governor's election in Florida in November. And you may want to hold your nose and may get sick about that, but let me tell you, the next governor of Florida has a responsibility to bring our state together and bring our country together. That's the responsibility of the next governor of Florida. Bill Nelson must be reelected because the alternative is so tragic to our state. And as I said to Senator Nelson over and over again, and I've said it everywhere I go, Rick Scott is the guy that did all these terrible things. I don't want to go through the list. But even worse than that, he's Donald Trump's BFF, okay? He was the chair of Donald Trump's PAC. He raised the money for Donald Trump's inauguration. So let me just say this. He may not be the bank robber, but he is the driver, okay? He has been the driver. And we can't allow the driver to become a United States Senator. Reporters are asking me all the time, what do you make of Senator Nelson's allegations that possibly Florida's elections could get hacked by the Russians? Well, I said, let me tell you, ever since I've known Senator Nelson, which is many, many years, everything he says is truthful. He's a man of integrity, okay? So I'm sure Senator Nelson has information. But more importantly, you know what I said to reporters? I said, I got a good idea. You want to really know the truth? Why don't you ask Rick Scott, tell Rick Scott to call his BFF Donald Trump, and no one knows more about Russian hacking than Donald Trump, because he actually did it to win the election. Folks, we all stand for the same things. We all want to raise teacher salaries. We all want to get rid of stand your ground. We all want to make sure that we have better public transportation. We all want to make sure we cure these ecological problems which are devastating our state. Yes, we all agree on that. The question is, who is going to go up against Donald and his little mini-me, radical Ron DeSantis? Who's going to be able to take him on the stage? Who's going to be able to get the Democratic message out and close the deal? Because unfortunately, for over 20-something years, we've had some great candidates for governor. But unfortunately, they all lost. And we cannot afford to lose this one. We got to put the best person on the field. And I hope by God I'm that person. But if I am not that person, I will work my tail off from now until November to make sure that Democratic nominee becomes the governor of Florida. Because we have got to get this right, Democrats. Thank you all for the opportunity. And thank you all for coming out here today. We appreciate it so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to introduce to you the mayor of Tallahassee, Andrew Gillum.
All right, everybody. Are we going to flip or the blue this year? I can't hear you. Are we going to flip or the blue this year? I believe we are. I want to begin by telling you, I'm so sorry that I'm so casually dressed, but we just finished rallying outside just a few miles away from here, standing in the gap for public education. I am a child of the public education system in this state. Some of you all know I'm the mayor of Tallahassee, Florida, but I grew up south of here in an area called Richmond Heights and Miami-Dade. My mother down there was a school bus driver and my daddy was a construction worker. I'm the fifth of 7 children, all boys and 1 girl. God bless them and us. She's a tough young lady. But I'll tell you, I'm the first of my siblings to graduate from high school. And the first of my siblings to graduate from college. You can't tell anybody in our household we don't know what it means to see intergenerational poverty interrupted at the hands of a good public education. And that's why we rally for public education. That's why we rally for that opportunity. Because every single child, regardless of where they come from, without regard to what their mother or their fathers do for a profession, regardless of whatever side of track they live or grew up on, every one of our kids deserves an equal opportunity to learn. And we ought to begin. We ought to begin by making good on that opportunity by paying teachers what they are worth for doing the most difficult job that exists on earth. They're responsible for the shaping, the molding, the cultivating, the inspiring of the minds of our most precious gifts, our children. And as a father to 3 kids, I'm not only concerned about my children, but when they enter the public education system, I want to make sure that they're sitting next to and behind and in front of kids who are there and ready to learn. And right now in this state, 40% of our kids are showing up in kindergarten not ready to learn. Our teachers, average salary, they're being paid 45th lowest out of all 50 states. We're the 3rd largest state in America. And we're paying our teachers at dirt bottom. Now, I know that you all have heard this phrase that you can measure a society by where they spend their money. Well, we're spending about $7,500 a year to educate a kid and nearly $50,000 a year to incarcerate a kid. Something's wrong with that picture. Something is wrong with that picture. And so we need a governor who's committed to standing in the gap on behalf of those children, making sure that our kids do start ready to learn, ensuring that they are at grade level reading. Get rid of these high stakes tests which aren't telling us what our kids know, but how well they take the test. And making sure that for our kids, once they enter the high school system, if you're not on a pathway to college, because everybody doesn't want to go to college and everybody may not be cut out for it, that we ensure that we reinfuse back into the public education system the kind of skills training that used to exist. Woodwork, shop, mechanical, electrical, technical, all of those programs that gave our kids a skill that they could monetize, go to work, get a good job that could lead to a good wage. I have to tell you, I've also got a value statement here around wages. Right now in the state of Florida, 44% of people say that they cannot make ends meet at the end of the month. They're working, many of them harder than ever, and still can't pull down a wage to take care of themselves and their families. That's a shame. It's a shame in the 3rd largest state in America, and I believe we can do better, beginning by ensuring that everybody who works a full-time job, if you get up and you suit yourself up to go and work on somebody else's job 40 hours a week, you should not be paid a poverty wage. You ought to be paid a livable wage so you can take care of yourself and take care of your family. I want you to know that I don't want you to just trust my words today. I want you to measure me by my actions. As mayor of the city of Tallahassee, I am proud to have stood up to Donald Trump, the Republicans, and everybody else who wishes to divide us by what we look like. Instead, we want them to measure us by the content of our character and who we are. I'm proud to have stood up to the NRA who sued me, drove me through court for 2 years. All because we failed to repeal a city ordinance which simply said you cannot shoot guns in city parks. Radical. Right? Mind blown. You can't shoot guns in parks where our kids played and our families picnic. And that's so radical a notion that we were allowed to be sued. Well, the good news is we beat them at the circuit court, we beat them at the appellate court, and we said, we'll see you in the Supreme Court if you want to take it there. We can't win if you don't fight. We cannot win if we don't fight. Finally, because we all have a theory of change around how we win this race. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me end by saying this. If you give me the opportunity to do one thing in my life, my mother ever told me to ask for, which is to ask for a chance. I want a chance to go to Tallahassee and be your best advocate, to stand up for regular working people. My name is Gillum. I'm the mayor of the city of Tallahassee. With your vote, I will be the next governor of the great state of Florida. Thank you.